Check out this beauty of a find. $1,000 find. This is a 1988 Kawasaki Ninja EX500. As you can see, it's twin cam, 8 valve. These things had about 60 horsepower, went about 120 miles an hour top speed. So kind of a beginner's bike back in the day, but still really kind of cool looking actually. The lower fairing was added to match the bike. You could buy those separately when buying the bike, and it looks like somebody added pink to the wheels. But the seller stated that he has never heard this bike run. He cannot get it to run. He doesn't know what's going on with it. So other than it not running, I really don't know much information about it. The seller got it on trade, and then he tried to get it running, but I mean, he couldn't. So I really don't know a whole lot more than that. So it's gonna be a bit of a mystery trying to get this thing fired up today. But yeah, it's pretty clean. I mean, the plastics look really nice, gas tank's nice, seat's not ripped, and it looks like it's only got 19,996 miles. Let's see if it lights up here. Yep, turn signals are on. Gauge is really, really clean. Brakes are working. So this one should be a pretty cool project. I've never owned one of these before, so I'm excited to start digging into it and see what we find. Let's learn a little bit about the Kawasaki Ninja EX500. So let's get this one off the trailer, start working on it, and hopefully we'll get this one up, running, and driving by the end of the video. A little walk around here. I mean, it's pretty darn clean. Not a single rip in the seat. I don't think any dents in the tank. That little one right there. I mean, not bad. The frame looks immaculate. And those will clean up too. Nice pipe on there. So somebody really took good care of this bike. Let's see what it does here. See if it fires up. Alright, we'll choke it. And run. Yeah, it doesn't even want to pop off. Got a couple things flashing. The oil light. For some reason the turn signals aren't turning off. Lights are working though. Let's see if the horn works. Yeah, that works. Hazards. Well, that's cool, it has that. Yeah, hazards are working. Maybe that's what was on. Oh yeah, so hazards were on. That's why I was blinking. Blinkers are working. Cool. So it's just not running. So hopefully we can figure it out today. Alright, let's start taking a look at this thing. I think we're first going to check the oil here. Looking down at the window, she looks a little dry. Let's tip this over a little bit. See if anything shows up. There's a little showing up. Not a whole lot. Twist that guy off. Oh cow, that's on there pretty good. pretty good shape actually. Now we can get this oil cap off. There we go. Let's see what that oil looks like. Kind of curious to see. Alright, there we go. That looks brand new. Looks really clear. So oil looks really good. Doesn't smell like gas or anything. I think we need the funnel here. Alright, let's see if that was enough. Let's see the oil level. You tip it straight. Is right to the line there. So oil level is perfect. Alright, let's take a look at the gas tank here. Supposedly there's a new gas cap on here, and you can see him peeling off the plastic from it. So it was new. It's right here. Let's see what this looks like on the inside. It looks like it might have been lined. Let's take a look. It looks pretty good in there. Can't tell if it was lined or not. Might have been. There's some rust down there. Kind of further down. But overall, I mean, that's not bad at all. That looks really good. It does look like it was lined though. As you can see, some of the liner goes over the rust right there. So I'm guessing that probably leaks. We'll have to see. Let's take a look at the seat. Get that off of here. There's actually a key down here that opens it. Wow, that looks brand new. What's in here? Couple bolts. Ooh, looks like there might be the original toolkit in here. Kind of hidden back here. Look at that. Let's see if they're the original tools. Oh yeah. That's pretty cool. Yeah, I don't think this bike was very abused. Yeah, this is Kawasaki on them. Look at that. Cool. So original toolkit came with the bike. Usually those are missing. It's kind of cool to have. Looks like the battery is right here. Fuse box is right here. So I think we might open up the fuse box, take a look at the fuses here. Maybe the ignition fuse is busted. Let's take a look. Let's do a continuity test first, and we'll kind of visually inspect them. So we should hear a beep going across each fuse. These are the spares right here. That one's good. 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 I think this will tell us what each one is. So you can see the spare 30 amp and 10 amp right there. You've got the accessories right here. Fan, tail light, and headlight. So these are just basically for the lights and accessories. I don't think that's the main fuse going to the ignition. I'll take off these side panels and see if there's another one down here. But yeah, fuses look good. Just take off these side pieces. See what's underneath here. We've got the igniter here. That's all plugged in. good. I'm trying to get to the air box, so it might be right there. We can probably take that cover off. All right, let's take a look. Every bolt coming off this bike looks brand new. Doesn't look like it's ever been taken apart. I mean, look at the frame. It's not even scratched up or anything. I don't know how that's possible. Very good conditions. Because, I mean, there's no rust anywhere on this bike. It's from 1988. Okay. So we can kind of see an air filter in there. It looks like you might have to take off the tank to get to that, possibly. We'll take off the other side panel and see. It looks a little dirty in there, but not horrible. It doesn't look like a mouse got to anything. So it doesn't look horrible. All right, let's see what is under this cover. Looks like your main fuse is right here. Check that out. There's the solenoid as well. And the bike does light up, so I'm guessing the fuse is fine. But we'll just check it to make sure, since we're in here already. While I'm checking things, I'm looking over all the wires too, making sure those are intact here. Okay, there's the 30 amp fuse. That's why we had the spare one up in the spares. Now we should hear a beep. Yep, looks good. I'm just gonna quick pull that out and check it. Alright, that fuse looks good. Get that back in. I really can't believe how good of shape this bike is in. As I tear it apart, it looks better and better actually. Into here, I can see a couple wires that are off of it. Where is that going to? So you've got a black and a red. Looks like it might have been going to the lower fairing, but it's coming from here. Going up to here. And it ties into the wiring back here. Interesting. So you've got, yeah, those are just going to the blinkers, I believe. So they tied into the blinkers so the lower fairing light would work. I'm guessing there's lights on each side of that fairing. So that's why those are like that. So these are for nothing important. I'm just gonna cut these off. Cut them off so we don't get a short there. All right, just checking all the wires at the ignition box. Those look tight. This is like the CDI. We can take off the gas tank bolt here. The gas tank is held on by the front fairing here. There's a little bolt underneath. That looks like a flathead. See, that kind of pulls away. Free. There we go. Alright, let's see how this petcock's set up. So there's a vacuum line right here. That was a little loose on there. We're going to probably replace that. See how it wasn't really super tight? If there's any air coming from that vacuum line, it will not suck that gas in properly. So, or pump it, I should say. So that pushes on the diaphragm and it pumps out the gas. So this is going directly to the carb. Let's take it off from the, that's prime, reserve, we'll point it to. We're gonna take it off right here and see if any gas comes out. Oh yeah, gas was in the line. Yep, gas is coming out. So it was getting gas. There's not a whole lot in there, but it was getting a little bit. It looks pretty fresh too. See if there's any water in there. Let that drain out for a little bit. It's draining pretty good. Slowly coming out. So petcock works at least. I think that's probably good. Looks pretty darn clear to me. That looks like brand new gas. So I'm guessing the previous seller put brand new gas in, probably drained the tank, and tried to get this thing to fire up. And maybe gave up at that point, you know, put fresh fuel in, maybe check for spark, and then kind of gave up after that. So gas looks good, we can rule that out. All right, now we're getting somewhere. All right, so here is where that air filter is, underneath here. We can get to that. And then here's the top of the engine. You can see the valve covers. And then the two carbs. That's all looking good. You can see the fan down in there. I wonder where you fill up the coolant. Oh, right there. We gotta check and see if there's coolant in here. Is there an overflow tank? Yeah, right here. That's all the way filled up. So that's good. So that all checks out. Spark plugs are right down in here. So here's the right side and the left side. Right down in there. So these two circle rests go towards the front of the bike. That comes off. Let's see what's underneath here. Yep, there we go. I think there's a date on it. Last change, April 24th, 1994. Wow. It's not that bad, actually. But you can see the date there. So it's been a while. It doesn't look horrible. Oh yeah, it's disintegrating. Look at this. So it's, see how that's just breaking apart? Yeah, we don't want that. So we're just gonna tear that off. Oh yeah, look at it, it's basically disintegrating here. This is not taking a lot of effort. And it's just ripping. I mean, that's an old filter. We don't want that going inside the engine. It's basically just turning into a powder. So we'll have to get a new air filter for it. I'm guessing it just comes as this whole piece, possibly. Let's try to get to the spark plugs. See if we're getting any spark. Alright, that one's out. I'll take a look at that buoy a little bit later. Spark plug's way down in here. Let's try to get to that. I wonder if I can take off this line here. Nope. There we go. It's coming now. All right, there we go. Pretty black, isn't it? Looks like it was running pretty rich. The tip of the spark plug doesn't look too bad though. Not a ton of carbon on there. NGK D8EA plug. Not too bad. Okay, and we can check the boot right away. Make sure that looks good. Ooh, that's pretty loose on there. Yeah, basically just pulled right off. Much wire exposed there. Let's cut that part off. 1/4 of an inch. Get the boot back on. Alright. Now we can start working on the other plug. Again, a very tight fit. Let's take that boot off right away. See what that looks like. This one was on a little bit better. Ooh. There's no wire there. No wire exposed on that one at all. So we're gonna cut that one back. Just a little bit. Boot back on. Plug is way down there. Gonna have to put an angle. There we go. Oh. That looks about the same as the other plug, doesn't it? Not too bad. D8EA, yep. Alright, well, we have the spark plugs out. Let's just squirt a little penetrating oil down these cylinders. This thing might have been sitting since 1994. That's the last date I see anywhere on this bike. So just in case those cylinders haven't had lubrication in like 30 years. All right, that one's lubricated. Might spray a little oil down there too. We're gonna try a little Marvel mystery oil down the cylinders. Those rings might be stuck in there. Maybe that's why it wasn't firing up. Could be low compression. But this will get those rings unstuck, most likely. Get some of that down there. And I have a lot of people asking about these bottles with the big nozzle like that. So this bottle is actually what carries sewing oil. So you can just buy these off of Amazon for a couple bucks. But they come with that long extension. So for jobs like this, it's really nice. You can just go right down here, stick it in the spark plug hole. You don't have to worry about spilling anything. So get some of that in there. And then the other one. All right. Just gonna let that sit for a little bit. All right, let's turn this on. Crank it over a couple times here. All right. Now, let's check for a spark here. So we are at cylinder number 1, right side cylinder. Let's see what we get. Oh yeah, we're getting spark. We're getting spark at both. That one's sparking a little goofy. There we go. Oh yeah. We've got spark. Looks really good. So spark on both spark plugs. All right, looks like compression for the 1988 Kawasaki Ninja EX500 is supposed to be right around 170. So like 150 to 170 would be pretty decent. Anything that's like 100 to like 120 is not too good. Let's see what we get. And you want to do throttle open on this one. All right, we're looking for right in this range, right in there. Okay, key on. See what we get here. Throttle open all the way. Battery's dying, but we already hit over 150. Let's get a jumper to the battery. Should jump up the compression here. I've never seen a bike with that much compression before. What the heck? Almost 300 pounds of compression? Jeez. That's absolutely insane. That must be because he oiled on the cylinder. That is a ton of compression. Let's check the other one. So it should be just as much on the other side. Wow. Well, I was not expecting that. See, we get 300 on this one too. Throttle all the way open. Look at that. pretty darn close. 260. Well, I'd say we have good compression on this bike. Wow. So we can definitely rule out compression problems. Alright, so we've got good spark, good compression. Could it be the carbs causing all the issues we're having? Alright, let's get these carbs out. Alright, so this boot actually doesn't have a clamp, it's just like a spring holding that on. This one comes off, goes right to the carb. It's a vacuum line. And then you've got your, I think that's the throttle down here. We can probably get that up after we get the carb off. Here's the choke. So we can probably take this off here. So these carbs are CV carbs. They have the diaphragms in them. So we might have a problem with one of the diaphragms. Alright, that one came off. This one's pretty loose on here, actually. Right, the clamp here was loose too. Weird. Somebody was in here doing something. Oh, those are stiff in there. Holy. There we go. Coming. Wasn't too bad. Getting them back in is probably going to be fun. There's a lot of gas in that cylinder over there. So I wonder if it was only running on one cylinder at one point. There we go. They're off. Just one hose here. There we go. That's the gas line. Alright, we can start digging into these. Alright, so we've got the right carburetor here and the left over here. The left one, there's a bunch of gas dumping into the engine from the left one. So we'll see what's going on with that, but let's start with the right one first. Take that one apart. Oh, there's some crud in there. Not a lot though. Looks pretty darn clean. What is going on? Well, there's some gas coming out of it now. Let's get the main jet out. See if that's plugged up here. That is clear. Running a 130 for the main. Alright, there's the pilot. Oh, that was clogged up a little bit. That's a 35. So pilot was a little bit clogged. There's the fuel screw right here. So it turns out we are 1, 2, 3, about 3.5 turns out on the fuel screw. Let's get that out of there. There's the spring. That looks good. Let's see if there's an O-ring down there. Whoa. That shot out of there. Let's check out the needle. Float feels good, no gas inside the float. Needle looks good. And the seat, let's check that out, make sure it's not damaged here. Looks perfect. Doesn't look like it. I don't see any cracks or anything. It's peeled off. Spring looks good. Alright, we're checking out the diaphragm here. Looking for any holes or cracks. Feels nice and rubbery yet. Doesn't feel brittle at all. But one tiny little crack will make a difference, so just really checking this over. That all looks good. So nothing wrong with that carb except for the pilot being a little bit clogged. Gas is flowing through the seat. So when we put gas down the gas line, we're getting gas going to the carb. See that? So gas line's not clogged. All right, let's open this one up. There we go. Not horrible. A little gunk in there. Bad. Got the main jet. 130 at the main. That's clear. Alright, there's the pilot. Now it's clogged. Yeah. That one's a 35. Same as the other one. Fuel screw. That one had some epoxy over it. See me turns out we're 1, 2, 3, almost 4 on that one. Float feels good. Yeah, needle looks good too. Let's see if there's something going on with the diaphragm. The right side carb looked perfect, so. Let's see. Cover looks good. No cracks in the cover. Spring looks good. Let's get this out. Oh, there's a little pinch right here, actually. Look at that. Is that going all the way through? I think it is. Oh, it is going all the way through. Yeah, it is, just really on the outside. So maybe that's a problem. There's a little tiny rip way on the outside of here. Just a tiny little rip. But I think that sits far enough in this cover here that it wouldn't make a difference. But what we can do until we order a new one up is just put like a little bit of gasket maker to fill that little crack in, just so it seals that air. But the rest of it looks really good. So I think what happened was somebody tried to clean the carb at one point, put this back in, and then pinched it between the cover and the carb. So this was not sitting properly in here. So let's blow through the carburetor with compressed air, blow through all the jets, get everything cleaned up, put everything back together, and we'll get this thing back on the bike and see if the bike fires up. All right, carbs are all set to go. Let's get these back on the bike and see if this bike fires up. All right, carburetors are back on. We've got all the lines hooked up. And the other vacuum line we've got here that goes to the tank. And this line goes to the tank. Throttle's hooked up. So now let's get the plugs back in. Let's cut that and put a filter in there. Cut that right there. Put the filter arrow going down. Like that. We're gonna get a clamp on there. Alright, now we've got the filter in, so we shouldn't get any more rust going to the carb from the gas tank. See if it's leaking anything out the carbs. Not seeing anything leaking yet. Alright, well, let's see if she fires up. Alright, we've got good spark, good compression, crazy good compression, and now we've got fuel going to the carbs. This thing should fire up. Let's see what happens. Choke it. Battery's dead. Try it again. Choke on. But she fired right up instantly. Holy cow. We didn't have to crank it at all. Sounds pretty good. We'll let her warm up and see how it revs out here. So far so good. To rev out. So right now what's happening is it cuts out. With choke off, it barely wants to run. Huh. Oil light came on. That's off now. Well, what the heck? It's not revving out at all. Alright, she's not revving out at all. We know we're getting gas, we know we're getting spark, and we know we have compression. Maybe it's like a safety switch on the kickstand or something's not working. I tried revving it out with the kickstand up. It didn't change anything, so maybe the switch is bad? Yeah, it doesn't sound very good. Alright, so checking the vacuum line. When we start this up, here's the vacuum line right here that attaches to the petcock. We should feel like a pulse from that line. Let's fire it up here. Oh yeah. It's sucking my finger in. So vacuum line's working. It's just not triggering the petcock to pump more gas into the carb. I just tested this on the bike, and when we hook the vacuum line up and turn it to reserve, it actually doesn't pump any gas out. And that pump isn't working. We'll just take it off and check it. It doesn't hurt to check. But it's definitely a fuel issue. Almost looks like a brand new petcock here. So let's open this up first. There's gotta be something going on with that. See, that just released a bunch of gas. I mean, it looks brand new in there. Rubber piece looks good. That looks perfect. Well, what the heck is going on here? Nope. That one's not clogged. Nothing's clogged so far. What the heck is going on? Anyway. Okay. Got your spring. That was in there like that. That feels good. Not seeing any rips at all. That's really odd. So it looks like a brand new petcock. Just not sucking in the gas. Well, we got this thing back together. I didn't see any issues with that at all. Diaphragm looked good. So there's no reason that shouldn't be working. So let's hook up the gas tank again and see if it somehow fixed it. Maybe there's a clog in here or something. I don't know, but everything looks good there. All right, so we turn on the machine with the vacuum pump hooked up, and we're getting a trickle to the filter up here. Like barely trickling. When we took the vacuum line off, we get a good stream. So we've got this thing set to prime. Prime should allow fuel to just flow evenly and fill up that carburetor. But when we had the vacuum line on and it was running on prime, we just got like a trickle. So I took the vacuum line off, plugged it up, and now we're getting a good steady flow out of the petcock. So I think the vacuum line is messing with the petcock, and it's like pushing in the diaphragm, and the diaphragm is like holding back that gas, and it's not allowing it to flow. So it might be the wrong petcock for this machine. It looks like an aftermarket one. So we might have to order up the OEM one. But now, turn this thing on, and it runs good. So for some reason that vacuum line was holding us back. That's how that should sound. So that's a lot better now. So we just bypassed that vacuum line going to the carb, plug that off. Now it's idling perfectly, right at 1500. That sounds so much better. And if you look in here, filter. You can see gas is just flowing there. Yeah, that sounds so much better. So we're gonna put everything back together and attempt to take it for the first ride. Hopefully it doesn't bog. Alright, fits like a glove. Alright, let's go test drive this thing. See if it moves. It's running so much better with the vacuum line plugged up. This thing is just running flawlessly. Fires up instantly every time. No smoke at all. Revs out completely. We gotta get Vinny's opinion on the bike. He's checking it out. He's really checking it. What do you think, Vin? You approve of that one? But give me some privacy. Yeah, he likes this bike. Look at him. He's jumping up on it. You're crazy, dude. What is he doing? I think he wants to go for a ride. What a weird dog. Come on, Ben. Oh, good doggy. Good puppy. Let's see. Well, this bike is running great. I was not expecting that. Took it down the road, runs perfectly. Doesn't bog, doesn't hesitate, shifts through all the gears, all the brakes work, all the lights work. I mean, it's actually a pretty nice bike. And I can't believe I'm saying this, but it's actually a really smooth, nice ride. I mean, I kind of like riding it. It's not bad. So yeah, not a single issue with it now. So I think what we're gonna do is order up a different petcock for it and try that out. I think the combination of the clogged pilots in both carbs and then the petcock not working caused this bike not to run. And I'm guessing the seller at one point went through the carbs, went through the spark plugs, put new plugs in, and then put the tank back on and maybe replace that petcock. Put the tank back on and put the gas tank to reserve or on. Tried to crank it over thinking gas was squirting into the carbs, and it actually wasn't. And that's why this thing wasn't firing up. So I'm sure the seller's kicking himself right now for selling this bike for this cheap. But you know, it's easy to overlook those type of things, and that's why you check everything over. Because if I didn't have that filter in there, that clear filter that I added, I wouldn't know that it was getting gas or that it was just dripping in. So adding that filter actually helped a lot because you can see what's going on with the gas as it goes to the carbs. And that's kind of how I figured that out. So yeah, luckily it was just a simple issue causing this bike not to run. So we'll order up a new petcock for it, a new mirror for it, and this one will be complete and perfect. And it's actually a nice looking bike. There is one small break in the plastics right here, going up to here. But other than that, she's clean and almost perfect condition. So hopefully you guys enjoyed the video on the 1988 Kawasaki Ninja EX500. Picking this thing up for $1,000, diagnosing it, getting it to run, and taking it for the first ride. Hopefully you guys enjoyed, maybe learned something, and stay tuned for next video. Thanks for watching, guys. Thanks for subscribing, and until next time, we are out.